Rowena, a love story. I was sifting through emails from police officers, both in service and retired, replies to a notice placed in police online notice boards. The notices stated, cross-dressing British police, anonymity guaranteed. University researcher seeks police officers, retired or in service, who participate in cross-dressing, both overtly and secretly, for a postgraduate research project. Respondents will be given a short questionnaire. Based on this, respondents will then receive a more detailed second questionnaire and, on consent, an interview. I had included an email address. And then I waited, expecting a few stray messages, some spam, and heaps of abuse. But the response was overwhelmingly positive. I watched my inbox fill and fill some more, and I sent off the first questionnaire. This asked for location, age, and rank, as well as spare details pertaining to the onset of their transvestism. I observed that many stated their place as northeast Scotland, specifically Aberdeen. I approached my supervisor about this. He replied through his anthropologist's beard. That does seem significant. Maybe you should narrow down. So I only sent the second, more detailed questionnaire to Aberdonian respondents. Again, the volume was striking. It appeared that there were hundreds of transvestites in the Grampian police. I received more precise locations. The specificity astonished me. A vast proportion of respondents stating AB15, many writing beside this entry box, Craigiebuckler or Airy Hall. The vastness of what I had undertaken began to daunt me as I read account after account of officers policing drug raids wearing rosy pink G-strings and bras under their uniforms, of others discreetly borrowing their wives' miniskirts on leave days or experimenting with lipsticks and mascaras while their girlfriends visited sick relatives, or peroxide wigs hurriedly retrieved from hiding places deep within sports holdalls, stuffed inside rugby strips. All this often to a soundtrack of Madonna, Diana Ross, and Shania Twain. It all seemed quite overwhelming. My supervisor suggested that the easiest thing would be to go to Aberdeen, take a flat and conduct interviews there. It would probably be cheaper than making innumerable journeys and, as a socio-anthropologist, allow greater immersion in the environment of Aberdeen's transvestite constabulary. There is a grant you can apply for, he added, and which I soon received. So I took the long journey northwards to a colder, stonier place. I found a flat, a one-bed in Hammersmith Road, and met a modish woman with a brisk manner, the landlady. Oh, it's quiet round here, all right. You can get on with your research. What's it all about? Something terribly complex, no doubt. Transvestism in the police. Oh, well, you'll be busy for sure, she replied with a laugh. We chatted a bit more. She was pleasant and said, "We live 5 doors down. We might have a little bash next Saturday. Do come." I did some preliminary interviews. Neighbourhoods, Airy Hall, Craigiebuckler and Hazelhead recurred. Did these areas of the city have some tendency to attract or create transvestites? I could sense that behind many of the replies lay tragedy. Stress is unseen, pain suppressed by stoicism, by obligatory reticence, feelings held back by professionalism. I read about experiences of criminal depravity, of immense loneliness and lives of repression. One officer described how his transvestism seemed to him to be a reaction to encountering a parsimonious family in Braeside which had fed its children on fish meal from Aldi as an economy. Others described how their cross-dressing followed innumerable harrowing encounters with rapists, drug addicts, or flashers in Johnson Gardens and Aberdeen Football Club supporters. It rained, and I sat and worked through this data, cataloguing it patiently on a gigantic spreadsheet. Then the rain stopped. I stared blankly at the screen, the mass of detail, the columns listing different articles of female clothing, preferred times of day, lists of pop songs played while changing, if the habit was secret or known, age ranges and professional rank, religious orientation, overwhelmingly often enthusiastically Church of Scotland, and ethnic identity. The rain had stopped. I've got to get out of here, I thought. I decided to wander down to the old railway. On the old railway, I looked down. Worms everywhere. One of them began with rapidity to transform into a woman, albeit a bald woman with a segmented torso. The long body had split to create 4 limbs, and these were delicate, pointed, and very pink. "Well," I said, both embarrassed and intrigued. A pause as the ex-worm and I observed each other. "Hi, hi, you remind me of someone," I said. "I know what you're going to say. You're going to say Telly Savalas or Stephen Flynn, MP." "Yes, Stephen Flynn, but a female version, of course, and much prettier, naturally." "Oh God, I've heard that just a bit too often. Jesus, I used to do his garden." "Did you?" "Yes, really, and I never once saw him lift a spade. And I think I've heard enough jokes about the SNP and slithering on my belly to last me my whole lifetime." I frowned. "Oh dear, I am sorry." "No worries." Another pause, less awkward this time. You probably need to get some clothes. It's considered a bit odd in this society to go around naked. You can even get arrested." "Really?" "Yes, this is Scotland, and they are rather puritanical at heart. Maybe when you're a foot underground it doesn't matter, but if you wander around above ground without at least some covering, you'll certainly get into trouble." And, as if in confirmation, a middle-aged woman with a Labrador, which unashamedly squatted, excreting on the sandy path just 3 meters away, looked towards Rowena with all the acidic disapproval that Scottish women are renowned for the world over, before returning her gaze to her defecator. "Well done! Oh, you're such a clever girl." We continued down the path. "Let's get you something to wear," I suggested. Rowena nodded in agreement. "By the way, what's your name?" I asked. It had seemed peculiar to be walking with a naked woman, not even knowing her name. "Oh, I don't know. Do I need one? I was always Worm 866629997 downstairs." "Rather, it's sort of essential." "What about Laura?" Oh, do I look like a Laura? Really? Well, perhaps not. What about Marisha? Wormwoman made a scornful expression. Okay, no, perhaps not. Let me think. Wait, I have it. Ready? Yes. Rowena. Really? Yes. Do you like it? Like it? I love it. I'm so glad. Rowena beamed. To Primark. A blip on my phone, a WhatsApp message. My landlady. We are having the party. Bring anyone. Rowena, we've been invited to a party. Oh, super. I love parties, said Rowena. We used to have them all the time. We went to these underground gigs, and there were always amazing parties after. We proceeded through Holborn, then down Union Street to Primark, attracting, along the way, many glances and uncertain frowns. But somehow Rowena managed to avoid arrest. I had worried that when we entered Primark, Rowena would cause some alarm. I doubt that completely naked customers appear there every day. But the girls who worked there were more amused than perturbed, and very friendly. Who does your waxing? Asked one. So smooth. Incredible. She also heard, You know, you look just like this guy who comes in here, buys lingerie. Politician, I think. And another interjected, Yes, what's his name? Comes in all the time. Gets fishnet stockings. No, 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 don't go there, I cut in. Let's focus on getting some clothes. We can start with underwear. Look, these are nice, declared the assistant, indicating a shimmering satin set in a peach color. We also need something for a party, I asked an assistant. Right, a fancy do? Oh, I think fairly laid back, but we want something nice. How about a pencil skirt? Actually, I think I prefer this, said Rowena. It was a tube dress and most pleasingly ribbed, a vibrant vermilion, and some heels to go with it. The effect was very chic. You'll break hearts, said the assistant. The party. It was a fantastic party. Everyone was drunk in a good way, drunk on beer, whiskey, gin, and drunk on life, its innumerable, immense possibilities. And Rowena had found a dark red wine. This is beautiful stuff, she pronounced with all the confidence of a Savoy sommelier. Magnificent terroir, primarily limestone and clay-based soils. She took another sip, then, after pausing to reflect, added, Yes, wow, classic Burgundy. The Côte d'Or, Chambertin, indeed, if I'm not mistaken. There was a guy with a huge joint and a turntable and some strange yet amusing music by Earth, Wind and Fire, Tubeway Army, Sandy Shore, Muddy Waters and Jethro Tull, or the Velvet Underground, and you could dance to it or sing along with a half-dozen men from Airy Hall, Craigie Buckler, and Braeside as they crooned, laughing, And what costume will the poor girl wear to all tomorrow's parties, tossing their blonde wigs and shimmying in their spangled fringe dresses. But Rowena preferred to curl on the sofa, chatting to a bearded man, an agronomist called Pete, who worked in a soil institute in Hazel Head. He spoke with a guttural sound, as if all his vowels had been suppressed. Rowena's been telling me all about soil aeration, stuff I didn't have a clue about, and I've been working in this area for years. There's so much going on underground. He was clearly rather humbled. We drank a lot more. Rowena told me all about Loam, how good it felt. My landlady came over. How's the postgrad? Oh my, more work than I'd imagined. The tranny police? Yes. Well, this is Scotland, you know. These things happen, but they're hidden. Then someone pokes a stick and discovers that they are everywhere. Then Rowena and I went back to my place and made love, sliding and bending pinkly into sixes and nines until the dawn broke.